Okay, guys, it is Fed week. What we are going to be doing is going over what we think the Fed is going to do this week. Also, Wednesday at 2:30 p.m., Jerome Powell will be speaking. They're going to talk about the interest rate adjustment that they're going to do. I think it's going to be a little bit higher. We are going to be reacting to that. We are also going through anything that happens in the banking world. Reactions to Credit Suisse going away. We will be reacting to that, so subscribe to the channel. Check it out. So right now, we have on Tuesday and Wednesday, the Fed meeting. It is said that the interest rate bump right now is going to be 25 basis points on top of what we already have. That's about a 75% consensus right now, according to market predictions. 25%, the other 25%, they're saying that it's going to be 0% interest rates. Prior to everything that happened with Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, 50 basis points was on the table. But now with the type of volatility that we're seeing, I personally don't think that we're going to see 50 basis points. So let's look at it from three different perspectives. If they go 0% interest rate hikes, we look at this and say, okay, they're probably doing this for the short term because of everything that's happening in the financial industry. On the other side of the coin, we can look at that and say, well, maybe they think inflation is going to just sit here and we're good and we don't have to worry about anything else. If they do that, inflation will run more rampant because inflation is still, CPI is still sitting at 6%. That's a very high number, guys, especially if they want to get to this target inflation of 2%. I think it's absolutely absurd. But even to get to 3%, you're still double it right now. So inflation is still high. You guys are seeing it in your wallets. You're seeing it when you go to the grocery store. You're seeing it if you go to a restaurant. If you go and do anything, I ask the question on my morning show once a week, are your wallets still feeling inflation? Vast majority, 80+%, every single week say yes. I see it. I see it in my bills. 25 basis points. I think that that's where they're going to sit. They're going to come out. It's not very hawkish. It's not very dovish. They're staying the course. They're trusting the data. They still have inflation that they need to fight. And I don't think it's going to do very much to the financial system by raising it another 25 basis points. Now, if they go 50 basis points, what happens? I think that is kind of sound the alarm and markets will react negatively because they do not want to have these interest rates going up while you're already seeing this contagion effect in the banking world because these companies took their short-term assets, bought these long-term bonds, and that's what's causing these banks to go under. SVB, Signature, most notably, they don't exist anymore in their previous form because of those reasons. So inflation is too high. Unemployment is still too low. It's way too low. They need to get to a point where it's at 4 to 4.5%. And I have a video here. I haven't seen this clip. Paul reacted to a video of Elizabeth Warren. She's a brilliant human being, but we're going to react to it, and I want to learn something from her. So let's check this out. They're talking about people having to lose their jobs to get to the point. And after this is over, I have one more thing to add. So let's check this out. Let's see what Elizabeth Warren has to say, and let's see what Paul has to say.
Rate hike cycle in 40 years. The Fed's goal is to slow inflation, and your tool, raising interest rates, is designed to slow the economy and throw people out of work. So far, you haven't tipped the economy into recession, but you haven't brought inflation entirely under control either. And maybe the reason for that is that other things are also keeping prices high, things you can't fix with high interest rates.
Can I just say something real quick? She has no idea what the complexity is of this entire system. She's talking about these things like they're the most simple, easy things to do. It doesn't take anything to do anything. This woman is unbelievable.
Things like price gouging and supply chain kinks and a war in Ukraine.
Price gouging.
You're determined to continue to raise interest rates, so I want to take a look at where you're headed. In December, the Fed released its projections on the state of the economy under your monetary policy plan. According to the Fed's own report, if you continue raising interest rates as you plan, unemployment will be 4.6% by the end of the year.
Good. It's still low.
Yeah.
1 point higher than it is today. Chair Powell, if you hit your projections, do you know how many people who are currently working, going
God, this is such bullshit.
lose their job?
Can I also make a point here? So, guys, think about this. Okay, during COVID, and this is an extreme situation, but just look. During COVID, Amazon increased its workforce by 104%, okay? Do you think that Amazon doubling their workforce they're bringing on the best and brightest and people that should always have a job at Amazon. No. So when revenues come down, profits come down, cash flows come down, those people in this 104%, you're going to get axed because it was kind of a luxury for you. We've gone for how many years? 10 years? Whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. You're going where people that are probably shouldn't have jobs do have jobs, just like the stock market. People that should not be making money are making money. Those people are going to get hit when things get bad because they don't know what they're doing. If you have a job that you shouldn't be in, you're probably going to get hit. You've heard so many of these tech CEOs, Mark Zuckerberg, the guy over at Google, they're saying, well, this is the year of efficiency. We need to get rid of stuff that isn't working. We're going to have, instead of having 3 people doing one job, we're going to have one person doing that job. This is just how the cycle works. And we've gotten into such a massive bubble and balloon that, yeah, it's going to pop and these people are going to lose their jobs. But my argument is maybe they shouldn't have had those jobs in the first place. Okay.
I don't have that number in front of me. I will say it's not
just
an
a math
intended
problem.
consequence. It's
Well,
not.
but it is, and it's in your report, and that would be about 2 million people who would lose their jobs. People who are working
I'm
right now
getting
making their
so
mortgages.
fired up.
So, Chair Powell, if you could speak directly to the 2 million.
Hey, Senator Warren, when you want higher minimum wage and that removes jobs from people who are willing to do it for $10 an hour because you want $15 an hour because a business owner has to make their overhead and make their profit for their investors and for themselves, how do you explain that to those people that you just said you just lost a job? When you go to McDonald's and you see order here and it's all done by robots, how do you explain that to the kids who want to get their first job at the age of 16 sitting in McDonald's who are willing to work for $10 an hour because they're 16 years old? And even some...
2 comments. That's a nice sweater. And secondly, he would have melted her brain by saying this to her because she would still have a comeback, but it wouldn't make any sense.
Somebody who's 35 who's fine making $12 or $13 an hour, but you insist on 15. So the McDonald's people go, we're going to put up robots then, and we're going to eliminate all humans. How do you explain that to them, Senator Warren? How?
Also, to get on the minimum wage topic, I was asking 2 people this weekend who owned a business. I said, hey, I don't even know what minimum wage is right now. It's not $15 an hour. And he said, our minimum wage is $15 to $16 an hour. And I'm like, oh, that's funny. It's all of these places are magically just paying $15+ an hour on their own. No government intervention, no Elizabeth Warren writing some stupid bill mandating it. It just happens. I understand what Paul's saying, but this is just totally separate. It's amazing what happens when you just let the public sector work or the private sector work and not get the public sector involved in these stupid government rules. All right.
Ow. Oh my God, this liberal fucking bullshit is just absolutely fucking stupid. And I know if you're watching and you're liberal, I get it. You hate me. I'm fine with that. But this is an absolutely asinine argument. Oh, maybe I'm not being fair. I don't know. I just don't think this is oh man. Let's continue listening to Pocahontas.
Hardworking people
Pocahontas.
who have decent jobs today who you're planning to get fired over the next year.
Listen, this is literally part of the cycle. If you want to have this pendulum, and how do I draw a pendulum? I'll just do this. These are your euphoric highs. These are your depressing lows. You are swinging up here. If you want these really great times where you're out there buying all kinds of whatever you want and it's just discretionary spending is just crazy. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm sorry. And this is where unemployment is super low. It's going to swing this way. It's part of the cycle. This is exactly part of the cycle. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a bad thing because we've gotten to the situation that we're in. We're at these euphoric highs that we should not be at. If you would just let the cycle happen, this is what it would look like. Here's your euphoric highs. Here's your depressing lows. You just swing right here. You just swing all day right here. But because we keep trying to stop recessions, we just keep printing money, we just keep giving everything away, and we will not let cycles happen, they artificially come up here. Well, I'm sorry. They're going to artificially come down here. It just happens. What goes up must come down. That might be a very cliche saying, and you're probably some physicists can be like, well, in this situation, it doesn't. Well, in this situation, it does. All right, let's go.
What would you say to them? How would you explain your view that they need to lose their jobs?
I would explain to people more broadly that inflation is extremely high and it's hurting the working
Everyone.
people of this
Yes,
country badly.
absolutely.
All of them, not just 2 million of them, but all of them are suffering
Absolutely.
from high inflation, and we are taking the only measures we have to bring inflation down.
And putting 2 million people out of work is just part of the cost. And they just
If you do not put those 2 million people out of work, inflation is going to get worse. So you either hurt those 2 million people or you hurt 398 million people. You take your choice.
have to.
God.
Will working people be better off if we just walk away from our jobs and inflation remains 5-6%?
Let me ask you about what happens if you do this.
Oh, you didn't answer the question,
Since the
Senator
end of
Warren.
World War II, there have been 12 times in which the unemployment rate has increased by 1 percentage point within 1 year. Exactly what you're aiming to do right now. How many of those times
Led to recession.
did the U.S. economy
100% of the time.
avoid falling into a recession?
0%.
You know, it's not as black and white as
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Exactly.
It's not as
there,
black.
There are so many. She does not understand the intricacies of all of this. It's not just jobs, employment, inflation, interest rates. I'm sorry, it's not that. There are so many intricacies to this. This woman cannot understand.
Black and white. I mean, yes, guys, recessions have to happen. We can't have everybody. This is the problem. If you want everybody to have everything, you get bubbles.
Exactly.
And bubbles bursting are way worse than just every so often having a recession.
Exactly.
Problem is, we haven't had a real recession. Forget about COVID. We haven't.
It's literally what I just typed right here. You either stay right in here, and these are your healthy, real recessions where you just swing back and forth, or you have these insane things where you go up here and go down here. There you go.
Had a recession since 2008, 2009. Is that really normal? Can you go full steam for that long as an economy? You're supposed to have a recession every 5 or 6 years. COVID was, I don't really call it I mean, yes, it was a recession, but.
And people hear recession and they just think, oh my God, it's the worst thing in the world. It's really not. It's part of the cycle. If you'd let if you go back and just study the history of cycles in this country, study it pre-1980. Probably sitting in here. It's pretty normal. It's just part of what happens.
It was caused by some outside, not the economy cooling down on its own. The U.S. economy was just shut down. This is an absolutely asinine line of questioning.
It was caused by China.
Why do I keep calling him Senator Powell? Chairman Powell is right. Having 2 million people more lose their jobs so that 100 million more people can live a decent life. Unfortunately, it is the case, and we can't think about individuals when it comes to the entire economy, because everything good that's happened will also hurt somebody else. Everything bad that happens helps somebody else. To me, I tell you, are you a good worker? Yes. Then you should want recessions.
There you go.
Because it allows you to shine. Yes, you're going to have jobs go out, but at the end of the day, if I'm a business owner and I have to lay off 10% of my staff, who am I laying off? The 10 most productive or the 10 least productive? And I love it when I hear people say like, oh, I got laid off. Oh, your entire company went under? No, they laid off 20%. So they laid off the 20% that wasn't justifying their pay. Got it. So you just basically told me that you lost your job because you're not very efficient. Go ahead and comment and tell me what an a-hole I am. I'm fine with that. But at the end of the day, go look at people's incentives. If I have to lay off 20% of my workforce, I'm going to lay off the 20% that I don't need as much.
That's exactly what the CEO of Google said, CEO of Facebook said, CEO of all of these different tech companies out there that are laying everybody off. They said, we're getting rid of inefficiency. It's as simple as that. All right, guys. Well, the reason I reacted to this, I was on vacation. This week, Paul is out. I did not see this video, but I was very anxious to see Elizabeth Warren go back and forth with Jerome Powell, and then, of course, see what Paul said. Very colorful. But when you start to, I think that a lot of this kind of stuff got lost in the banking stuff this week. So it's important to go and watch these things and just understand and watch what I'm saying right now. It's very basic. On the surface, it sounds like, oh, you're going to put 2 to 4 million people out of job. What a terrible person. But when you really look at why you're doing it, who those 2 to 4 million people are, and the reason that it's better to put those people out of work to get us to more price stability and inflation stability and to get out of this insane cycle of these euphoric highs that I was drawing, that is why I was looking at that video to react to. That is why I'm interested to see what the Fed is going to do. Guys, subscribe to the channel. We make a lot of videos like this. We make a lot of videos on banking. We make a lot of videos on stocks. You guys have a great day.